So yeah, back again, another episode. I've released the first episode that we did while we were here, which was Micro Pubs and the Tears of B. Schmidt, which was an awesome episode. Really loved those chats, but it's been pretty busy. I had to change up what I've been doing a little bit. Got to roll with the punches when you're talking to indie filmmakers, I guess. I kind of look like crap right now. This is Tuesday. We have today and tomorrow, and then that's us. Today's going to be a pretty hectic day, but I wanted to make sure I got another interview out to you today. So, kind of all over the place here. It's been a bit mad. It's a long days, but I am loving this. This is exactly the area that I want to be in when it comes to what we do, what Nerdly does, what I do on the YouTube and the Facebook and everything like that. This is the area I want to be. I'm talking to filmmakers that have an absolute passion for their work. And I've met so many awesome guys and girls at this festival that it's amazing being part of it and being in amongst it. And I've been helping these guys out for 3 years on the selection and the judging panel and all that. But to be here, it's a totally different experience. Meeting Peter, meeting Spencer, meeting Carrie, meeting Natalie, meeting Bradley, Louise, everyone, just the whole crew, meeting everyone face to face and realizing, you know what, we just frigging love movies. We love independent and the bigger budget as well, but we love these movies that come to us, that are being submitted to us, and it's just amazing to meet these guys. We've got quite a few Americans who've flown over to come and see their movies, and yesterday, I'm going to try and get the video, because yesterday was potentially one of my proudest moments that I've had while interviewing someone. And I don't want to take anything away from the interviews that I've done, because I've done some fantastic interviews. I don't want to take anything away from any of them, and they're all projects that I've always backed and I've always loved. But there is a movie that we showed, Fraser Syndrome and Me. It's a documentary about a young girl who's grown up with this disease that took syndrome that took years for any doctors to realize what it was, because it's so rare. I think she said yesterday there's about 150 to 200 people in the world who have this disease. That interview was particularly actually quite hard, because when I watched it on my laptop when we were doing the selection process, yeah, it got me. It did get me, but sitting in the cinema and watching it on the big screen and knowing that Kyle was there, watching her movie about her story, and then me being a dad of 3 girls myself, the movie kind of pivots a little bit halfway through, and it becomes a little bit about her parents as well. Oh man, it killed me. And then I had to get up and do a friggin' Q&A. I had to get up and sit and do a Q&A with her, when 2 seconds prior, I was welling up in the bloody seats. So yeah, it was a pretty proud moment. I got through it. Really actually enjoyed that interview, and Kyle's an inspiration. Yeah, but anyway, I digress. This is a couple of interviews, by the way, so that's why the runtime looks a bit longer than some of the other ones I'm putting out. But we got a little bit of a double header here. I didn't want to split them up, because the 3 of us in the room actually kind of had a bit of fun together, and it was cool. So I've got Ross Henson from Door Salesman Dave, which is a shot that I've been championing. And if you've been looking at my Instagram and everything, like, I just love Door Salesman Dave, and Ross is just an absolute blast. He's so cool. And I did the Q&A with him yesterday as well on stage. That was amazing, with Bradley's movie and I as well. And you'll be getting a little something of that later. But yeah, so I got Ross Henson on to talk about Door Salesman Dave. Amazing. Really enjoyed talking to him. But Tom Paton, the man that is, the man, the myth, the legend, the man, like, we love Tom Paton around here. Everybody knows that. He came over. I really didn't have to. I'm super grateful that he did. It was actually filmed on the first night I was here, and Tom made the trip over to see me and to have a little bit of a chat about Assailant, about some of the other projects he's working on, and really just shoot the shit, because at this point, Tom and I don't really do interviews. We just kind of chat. It's kind of like doing a podcast with your mate at this point, which is pretty weird, but yeah, we got a long history, and we kind of mention it in this interview. But it's a double header. It's Ross Henson up first to talk about Door Salesman Dave, and then Tom Paton comes on. So please stick with the episode. It's a little bit longer, but we had so much fun in the room that I didn't want to cut anything. So yeah, please do check it out and check out everything else. Do all those amazing things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Tell all of your friends what we're doing. I have got loads more interviews incoming, all that good stuff. So there's going to be more on the way. So yeah, thank you. Keep watching. Like, subscribe, ding that bell. Again on the ROMFORD Film Festival Nerdly World Tour, I guess you could call it. And this time I'm joined by Mr. Ross Henson.
Yes, hello everybody. Hello. See you then. See you.
And Ross's movie Door Salesman Dave, I've been dying to speak to you, by the way. I've reached out to you on social media and everything because of all the movies we have in this festival, if anybody threw themselves into that character, and I mean literally threw themselves into that character, it was Ross.
It's me, yeah.
You go for it.
I went for it, and I would say also that I still had some left in me. Scary enough.
So we're going to talk about Door Salesman Dave in a quick second, which is showed on Monday. I believe it's 6 o'clock. So if you're not here, get yourself here, come and watch it. You're going to love it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But first of all, a little bit about yourself. How did you get into all this, and how did you get into making this short?
Well, I was born in a hospital down in Rochford area, and how long we got?
All the time.
Okay, and then there was a call from the the nurse at the time, says she's ready, and here I am. So I skipped a lot, didn't it? So basically, I had I was a dancer. To start with. In fact, before that, I was the shyest boy in school.
Nice.
Then I was a dancer, right? Really brought us out the shell. Then I started doing kids entertainment, which then started making jokes with the adults in the room that went over the kids' head that were okay for the kids if they didn't understand them. So like two-way comedy. And then the adults laughing, that was infectious. So I started doing stand-up. Then I was like, okay, this is really fun, both the kids stuff and the adult stuff, and doing the dancing. Then the dancing started to hurt. Believe it or not, the dancing started to hurt. Cramps in places I didn't know I could get cramps, and I'm a man. Then I started looking into acting and started doing the acting process and stuff like that, along with some music making and comedy making stuff, because, I just was obviously very, had a lot of time on my hands. And then I started getting into the writing, and because of the writing of the jokes and stuff, then came the writing of the actual movie stuff that then I really enjoyed. So then I started doing sketches. So I started writing sketches, and then it got to a point where I was so fed up of doing this really small, short form sketches. So then I saw Key and Peele, and they're an American duo. Jordan Peele is one of the writers of Get Out, which is a very famous film now, and King Key is also mega on the up there as well. So they've done amazing with themselves. But their style of sketch was a little bit more long form, and a lot more cinematic than the cases of that you'd see on early Saturday Night Live, and also the British stuff over here as well as in living colour, which not many people know who aren't film, enthusiasts. That is where Jim Carrey is from, and the Wayans. So seeing all that, and then combining all that, is where I got to the sketches, which then led to Door Salesman Dave. Thank you. 3 hours later, Ross. Good to get on with it.
That's fine. We've got time to kill. So Door Salesman Dave, where did it come from? What was the embryo, the seed, the idea of this mental character?
So there was a story to it. So I was at home. We was working from home at that point, not in a lockdown situation. Just we were working at home on a animation tool called Degree, which is actually available on YouTube as well. Degree, and I was with the creator of that, which was Peter Lay, and we were just sort of going through the voices and stuff and doing the editing for that show. At the same time, there was a knock on the door, which just happened to be a salesman, right? Clipboard, everything, old school. Name badge, everything, okay? So he's standing there. Now, I've got cameras on my house. So I've looked at the camera like, who's that? I'm not expecting anyone. I'm like, oh, it's a door salesman. Don't go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Stay away from the kitchen. The kitchen's on the front of the house. Don't go in the kitchen. So we stayed, hid. It's okay. It's all good. And then we carried on with our day. We didn't think nothing of it. When he came back, I was in the kitchen and I see him approach the door and I literally ducked.
Yeah.
And then I was sort of whispering around the corner to my friend to say, he's back. Don't come out. He's back. So now I'm crawling on the floor to get back into the living room to keep out of sight. I felt so bad that I didn't feel anything at all. But he was there and he was so persistent. I was like, that is hilarious. Yeah. So when we were outside just discussing other things, get some fresh air later on, hoping he wasn't going to come back again, we just started spitballing ideas. And then the story of this over persistent kind of character came up. And ironically, I actually used a voice this voice was developed from one of the characters in Degree, which would be really cool. If you work out which character in one of the Degree episodes, there's about five episodes or so in Degree online. If you can work out which character it is, I'd love for someone to spot that. So, but it's not that character, it's just developed from that character. So that was where it was born. The persistent door salesman that just won't take no for an answer.
And you were saying before we started recording and everything, it started as sketches, as part of a sketch show that you were making, but then just built into its own thing.
Yeah.
How was that?
So the sketches were, I wanted to be cinematic, like Key and Peele. They're a really big inspiration for me, along with the nuttiness and craziness of In Living Colour. So I'd studied a lot of that from back in the day, because I really do like physical comedy. Everyone from Jim Carrey to like Ronan Atkinson and you know, back to the old school, like Lemon, always get his first name.
Keith Lemon.
Not Keith Lemon, no. Further back.
Further back.
Black and white film days. Lemon, oh my God, his name's gone, but Lemon, Chaplin, you know, all them kind of, them cats from way back in the day. And their physical timing is just amazing. Like, it's down to the T of just, if they were a second early or a second late, it wouldn't be right. If they hadn't done that facial feature or been in that moment big enough, it wouldn't be funny, it'd just be awkward. So I've really taken a lot of that on board to create these sketches, and I love doing different characters. So I thought, what better way than to make proper stuff? I didn't understand what short film was. I didn't know it existed. I didn't understand there was there's a short film? You can make a film and call it a short film, and that can go into festivals and stuff. Didn't have a clue. I just thought, I want to do long form sketches, put it on YouTube, and it will blow up.
Of course it will.
You know? Didn't blow up. But the first one, I thought, let me just take this in and redecorate it. There was 7 sketches in total. I did a screening with the 7 sketches and stuff. But the one that stood out for me, that really captured the essence of a short film in my mind, of a start, middle, and an end, and the challenges and the conflict along the way, was Door Salesman Dave. And I thought, okay, let me just remold it a little bit, re-edit it, and put it back into that package of a short film. And then I was like, okay, now I understand a short film. So let me put this out there. And it's been great. I mean, we're literally on the last couple run of festivals now. ROMFORD Festival, where we're at right now, being one of them. So, and we've done fantastic. We've gone beyond what I thought we might get in 1 or 2, but we've got so many. And one of them being the LA Shorts, which is the BAFTA and Oscar nominated one. We got selected, we didn't get anything from it, but you know, it's a hard one to get into. So being selected was just amazing. And then I think we've got like kind of 19 wins and like 2 or 3 nominations off the back of that. So there's a collective group of like nearly sort of, I think it's like over 30 selected for, you know, the whole festival run. Blown my mind. I didn't even know what a festival was. I thought I knew Edinburgh, like I knew the stand-up stuff, like the Edinburgh Festival and the dance festivals and stuff at the O2 and all these other places they do them at the XL and all that. But I did not know film festivals existed. Mm-hmm. I do now.
You do know. And I've seen a lot of the comments that are getting made about the movie and people saying things about Door Salesman Dave. What's the best thing you've seen, or the most
the proudest thing that you've seen someone say about this short?
For me, I'm all about making people feel, whether it be emotional or happy, or making an emotion that they can get through either live performance or through a screen. So for me, it's about just having them feel something when they walk out. If my intention is to make them feel laughter or happiness or a memory of some sort when they have a relatable, pathway to what they've just seen, that for me is great. So when people come out and they don't even need to say it's relatable. All they say is that it's like, when they come out and they say, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That made me laugh my head off. That, I don't need to know anymore. As long as you've enjoyed it, job done. Yeah. That was very abrupt ending, but I'm finished. That was...
So you wrote, directed, acted, and like I say, threw yourself into it. But how was the whole process of writing, directing, and acting and everything like that for you?
Oh, by the way, I've just sort of taken the label off of the camera because I didn't want to false promote. It's not like that I'm not sexually frustrated or anything. So I just wanted to make that very clear out there. Although, I am a very good liar as well. So yeah, the writing. Them interviews you watch back in about 5 years' time ago. This one. So the writing side of it was I hate to say this, but it was quite easy for this because it happened. I had the story, I had the beats laid out in my mind. I could visually see it happening all the way through. So to write in a short form, in my head, I thought films are like 120 pages long. So for this, I was like, okay, cool. I've only got to get that many pages. I was over before it even started, and that was obviously after sculpting it for the short film. Going into it sketches, even as that on its own, and the other 7, I still was over. I was trying to shorten them down because I knew what YouTube was like, so I was trying to condense them down. So in a way, I had to extend it, which was different. So, and I already had the extra bit because we put other stuff in and film more to make it into a short. So that was already there. So yeah, that's where the writing came from. As far as directing, I mean, I've been a choreographer and I've taught dancing to colleges as well, to both teenagers and kids, breakdancing to kids, which, to be honest, is sometimes more challenging than directing a film set.
I can imagine.
So yeah, I feel it came slightly naturally, but I learned so much along the way. Like, I did not know everything. Like, as no one does in this thing. No one knows nothing, as I keep getting told. And I prove myself every time I go to do something. Like, yeah, didn't know that. So it is learning new stuff, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy learning new stuff that I'm passionate about, and that's where the directing comes into it, and even the writing and the formatting, and Final Draft's become my best friend now, and I edit on Final Cut that I've turned inside out to get what I needed to get that. There's a bit where there's a keyhole shot. So he's like looking through the keyhole and the camera goes through the keyhole. That killed me. I literally spent days working on that bit of the edit just to get it to work.
But it's little touches like that in a shot like this, which is so surreal and so off the wall, and then you get a little shot like that and it's like, oh, like you put time and effort into this, and it shows on the screen. It really shows. So
yeah, Jack Lemmon, just go ahead. Jack Lemmon. just coming to my head. Yeah, no, it does, and I take a lot of my kind of, what's the word? No, the word's not there. I've got Jack Lemmon now. Shut off everything else. That's it. It's down. No, my inspiration and stuff. Edgar Wright, for me, as you could probably tell from what you've seen, is like, I just love his stuff. Just love it. And then when you look at kind of, I even like, but not a lot of people admit to this, but I like Michael Bay, right? And I hear a lot of film people say to me, oh, Michael Bay, he's just in it for the Hollywood money.
He's the greatest director of our generation.
But I think the way he moves the camera, and you see that new ambulance film as well, and the way he gets the drone to work, it's just another level. So it's proper interesting. I do like his stuff. I do feel there are times where I'm like, okay, he didn't have to move the camera then, but there are other times that the way he does and stuff is just amazing. Just, to think it's just a film set and there's doing all this stuff, it's crazy. It really takes you into another world. But I do like people like Christopher Nolan. So he gives another type of vibe. And then, I have to go back to the Lock, Stock and the Snatch. They're early inspiration for me as well. Like,
You can tell.
Then Matthew Vaughn and now Guy Ritchie. I don't know names today, Jesus. So I'm gonna do it again so you can edit this out. So even though it's live, whatever. So yeah, Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie obviously doing the Lock, Stock and the Snatch, and then see Matthew Vaughn go on to Kingsman and stuff like that as well. Just what they do with their cameras and stuff. Like they really do. When I entertain as a stand-up, whether it's kids, family, or adults, I always say a true entertainer always entertains everyone in the room. So with a cinema film, I feel like you really have to use every part of your cinema expertise to entertain everyone in the room. So if that is for action, you need to give them action, and you need to move that camera as an action perspective where you can't get to on set. Like, you can't get in that explosion. You can't follow that bullet because it will kill you. But you can show it, and you can make people feel part of the experience. So one day, I don't know if it will be in our lifetime, I hope it will, there will be cinemas where they start making it in the round. So there's a screen on every side and up and down, and all there is just chairs, and you can see below you, around you, and everywhere, because these 360 cameras are capable of that. I don't know how they're going to do it, not my job, but
the planetarium things that you go to
yeah, they do it like
they kind of do that. But I know what you mean.
It's like that 4D kind of Universal trip and the Disney things and stuff. They do have that mechanism. They just don't do it for every film. I'd love to get to a point and see in my lifetime that is now the normal for cinema. That's the experience that people are coming to see. That will get people out their living room.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't do that. You need something in cinema that you can't do. People have these screens at home now. Well, Eddie Murphy does, but people have these screens. So if you can do the whole round of the cinema and the floor and the ceiling, that's an experience. So I hope I'm still able to be doing filmmaking by the time we get to that point.
So on that, what's next? Are we getting more Door Salesman Dave, or what are you moving on to now?
I love the fact that characters are very fun for me to play, but I also want to show that I can do, even in comedy, like me as the character. And also write a type of different kind of thing. I've had a great team to do sort of Door Salesman Dave, the DP, Ashley Harris, such a young lad, but he's a solution finder. So I love that fact that he can do that. That's gave me the confidence to be able to know that you're not in it on your own. So whatever I go to attack, I know I've got people that are around me, and even new people that I'm meeting, that you can tell who's a solution finder and who's a problem finder without the fix. So I do take my hat off to Ashley, because he worked his bottom off. And I'm normally one who swears, but I'm going to keep this clean. He works his bottom off doing every little solution that I need to fix it. The same. I mean, I'm a solution finder, so I find most things, but there are things that I overlook because we're only one person. So it's great to have that type of team. And even with the actors on set, especially that one with Door Salesman Dave, with like Jalal and Georgia, like even the dog Reggie, like he put his time in, he found solutions to the way to do it. When he ran past me, I thought, okay, I'm not running quick enough, so let me run a bit faster. So yeah, if you like puppies, there's a puppy in this as well, so come and check it out. But what is actually next is the question that I've diverted just to get some names in there, and thanks to everyone. So I've got two features. Well, I say two features. One short film that's at length and a feature that are written. One, we are now in a rush to get done. So in 3 weeks, we go and film in Cyprus.
Nice.
I wrote the thing in 4 days. Now, normally that says, obviously that's rubbish. But I've had a lot of people look over at the stuff and they're like, it's good. It's good to go. So with that, with the idea of what it is, it's going to be great. Ironically, Jalal has jumped on as a producer and the actor as well. So it's going to be a different style for us to do, which would be great to cover. And then on top of that, the next one, I can't actually talk about that much because it's going to be a bigger project. We are definitely going to be looking for funding. So if you're watching this and you're interested in just investing in me or a project or even ROMFORD Film Festival, come and help out, get on Nerdy, and yeah, we never reject cash. Do you know what I'm saying? So even a beer. I mean, I don't drink, but he'll have a beer. So it's all good. But yeah, so there's another feature film in the making, but that one's been put on hold simply because this one's in 3 weeks and it's all been attention on that now. Yeah, so that's what's up.
Is that strictly directing, or are you going to be on that as well?
Well, this is the thing, right, Kev? Yeah. Now, in this world, when you're an actor, and every actor will say the same thing, they never get enough castings. They never get enough opportunities to show what they can do. So then you start getting brutal about it, and the ones that have had enough go, well, I'll just make it myself. So I'm kind of at that level that I'll just make it myself, and I'll put myself in it. If it gets to a point where I'm like, you know what, this is too much, and I need to take a role to step back on, acting will probably be the first one, because I know the whole thing won't run without the directing and the writing, because I have such a clear vision of what I want, and I'm so stubborn on that in a good way. So yeah, that would be probably the first thing I'd come back on, just to give it a go as well, just to see what it's like to sit in this chair that says director and stuff, to give it a go. But yeah, so that's kind of thing. I mean, did you want to speak to Dave at all?
I would love to speak to Dave.
Let me see if he's. Are you Dave?
Oh Christ! Nah, I don't want to speak to Dave. You can.
Hi, I'm Door Salesman Dave.
I've got nothing to say to it.
Can I help you? Microphone.
So while you are Door Salesman Dave, the salesman Dave, why don't you tell people why they should come and see Door Salesman Dave on Monday at 6 p.m?
Hi, I'm Door Salesman Dave. You should come to Monday, this Monday, 6 p.m. Door Salesman Dave. Result.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
He scares me too, to be fair. He does scare me.
He doesn't scare me. I would be pretty pally with Door Salesman Dave. I wouldn't buy anything off him, but I'd be pretty pally with him.
That's where it's getting to. When you don't buy anything off him, that's when you can't get rid of him. So yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up a little bit now, because I've got Tom waiting in the wings, and Tom's going to come on and talk about some of his stuff as well.
And you need to stick around for Tom, because I've heard Tom talk, and he's got such a personality on him. So I'm going to stick around for him as well. But you need to tune into Tom. He's going to come up straight after this one. So it'll be another link. It'll be a new link, and then it'll be right after this one.
We'll just rock on straight with the.
Oh, go straight in. Oh,
yeah.
Sharing time. Lovely.
I like to go in dry, so but first of all, what? But first of all, I do want to ask one last question about Door Salesman Dave.
Okay.
You said before about you maybe didn't go far enough with certain parts of it and everything like that, and you didn't put everything into it. Is there a line for Dave, and how crazy you would be with him?
I've been asked the question, would you make it a feature? Which I think is kind of on the same wavelength where you're coming from.
Sort of, but I mean, like, is there a space you can go too far with them?
Right, I see. Well, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, so it's already done. So I can't go too far with them now, because that's not how films are made.
No.
I don't know if you're aware of how.
I'm aware of film.
Now, when I was doing it, I'm thinking, you know what? When it comes to physical comedy, you have to be in it. And if you're not, then you feel silly. As soon as you feel silly, it's game over. It's done. So actually, what I would say is, if you don't go further enough, then it's a problem. Because if you really go for it and you go too far, as long as the dialogue or the actions don't upset or physically harm anyone, in that extent, obviously keeping it legal, you're good, you know. But it's the same as Jim Carrey back in Living Colour, when he did Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah.
He used to do this with his go, "I'm Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something." And that's kind of what he does. Now, for him to continue that, he always said he wanted to do a film of that, but he couldn't keep this going for that length of time. He could just do short spells of it. Did he go too far with that? No, because his physicality, and he was in the moment. And when he really goes for the over the topness, the more over the top he goes, the funnier it gets. Which is why I feel that I've still got levels to get to with character comedy. But I do want to give some people like kind of the, you know, the more relatable personality comedy through a real person in a real situation, a real scenario. Much like how the Ryan Reynolds of the world kind of do it at the moment. You know, it's him being him.
Yeah.
But I find that very interesting, and I love the way he does it because you fall in love with him.
Yeah.
And then any character he does, he has slight differences because they are different characters. But there's a lot of him in it. So I value that a lot.
Awesome.
I like it a lot.
Well, Ross, thank you for coming on. This has been one of the ones I was looking forward to coming down on the train. I couldn't wait to speak to you because that is just one hell of a character. And please do, Monday, 6 p.m, ROMFORD Film Festival, come and see Door Salesman Dave.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate your time. And Tom's up next.
Yeah, we have Tom Paton in the house.
Tom Paton.
We're kind of killing two birds with one stone yet because we are at the ROMFORD Film Festival. It was like, let's get Tom in because we haven't talked about Assailant yet or any of the other tech movies you've made in the last 2 months.
Right, Kev, how you doing? Look at this little posh setup you've got going on.
I feel like I could rock this.
I'm not used to talking to you when we're not on Zoom, so this is
Yeah.
kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I think we've only ever done one face-to-face interview, and that was at SFW.
Yeah, for Redwood, just after that premiere, I think.
And since then, you've made about 1 million movies.
Well, yeah, I'm on.
What we on now?
I'm on number. I've just finished number 9. I'm in production on 10, which is a full CGI animated movie, and yeah, I've got some other stuff cooking. So.
CGI animated. Is this Black Site?
No, that's a different project. So for those of you that don't know, Black Site, we've been trying to develop as an anime series for a while as well, but that's separate from the thing I'm cooking.
But Bentley's away doing Halo now. So.
Bentley's quite busy, yeah. He's doing all right, isn't he?
So let's talk about yourself. Lockdown happened, everything shut down. Tom moved to the Caribbean.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as glamorous as that sounds, but yeah, we just finished 400 Bullets with Steve Mosley. Big shout out, such a great guy. And so we were gearing up to make something else, and then the pandemic happened, which was kind of weird for me because I've never really sat still. So suddenly I was like, for a whole year, okay, I can't work, and you know, weirdly for me, you know, I'm quite a confident, outgoing person, but I was like getting anxiety and stuff. You know, I'd never really just sat at home on my own, and so in a weird way, I kind of look at 2020 for me anyway. It was kind of a gift because I did a lot of working on myself, lost a lot of weight. Thank you very much for noticing.
Still can't believe that, by the way.
There's only 2 kinds of people in pandemic: those that got fat and those that got skinny. You can just put us all into one of those camps. But yeah, so I kind of did a lot of like, you know, working on myself and deciding what I wanted to do. And then I get this random phone call last February from a guy called Felipe Martinez, who had been the exec producer on G-Lock, the space film that you came to visit. And yeah, he said to me, I've set up shop in the Caribbean. There's no COVID here. Do you want to come and make a movie? I was like, yeah. When do I fly? And he was like, 4 days from now. So I ended up going over there, and I did 2 weeks in quarantine because that was kind of the mandated thing there. But I was in this awesome villa. So it was like the best holiday I've ever
I saw the
had.
photos.
Yeah, I was just locked in this awesome villa with its own beach. But, you know, it's like, this is great. But while I was in there, I ended up writing Assailant. I was supposed to be doing a different movie, but I didn't really like the script. It wasn't me that was working on that. And so, you know, I spoke to Felipe and I was like, look, I've got this idea for a movie called Assailant. He really liked it, backed the project. And funnily enough, you know, Ross just mentioned that he wrote a script in 4 days. Well, that's the time frame I wrote Assailant in.
That's the Tom Paton standard, that.
Yeah. Yeah, I should probably spend longer on this stuff.
Yeah.
Probably be worth more money. Yeah, no, then we came out of quarantine and very, very fast cast Casper Van Dien again, who I'd worked with on G-Lock. Poppy Delavigne came on board. Chad Michael Collins from the Sniper films, who is, all 3 of them, honestly, they're just the coolest people. I had the most fun hanging out with those guys. And then, you know, we would all be sitting there sometimes like, we're in the Caribbean. The whole world's in lockdown. We're in the Caribbean. Yeah, and it was just cool. And the movie turned out really, really well. It's out now in the US, Redbox and Relativity Media over there, so you can catch it on AMC theatres on demand. You can also pop to any of your Redbox kiosks, and they're on demand service too. And it hits here probably late this summer, I've been told.
I was pretty stoked because every time you go on to make a movie, especially like as you're progressing, because for those who haven't been watching the things I've been doing for the last 5-6 years, like we've been following Tom, and every time it's just it's just a leap.
Well, to be honest with you, mate, I mean, like the thing is with this industry, you should never forget the people who championed you, and okay, I'm at this position now. I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, and getting to work on some of the budgets with the actors I am. However, I wouldn't be doing it if people like you didn't watch that random 50 grand film I made in the woods, all those years ago. So Pandorica, check out on Amazon. Made it for nothing. It shouldn't exist. It does.
Spotify, by the way. I still rock that soundtrack all the time.
Yeah, do you know what? I love the music on that movie. But yeah, and
Max, wasn't it?
It was Max, and on that one he was working with the guys from Prototypes, and then he since went on to do most of my scores on his own. But yeah, I mean, I remember, like how stoked I was. I just made this movie that everybody told me what wasn't going to happen. And and then I get this review from somebody who's like, "This is awesome. You guys should check this out." I was like, "I'm going to message this guy and say thank you." And then ever since, I never forgot that. So when we did Redwood and then Black Site, and then things keep stepping up, and I'm always like, anything you want, Kev, let me know.
But then it was like you started casting everybody I wanted to see in my movies ever. Like you got Stephen Moyer in there, you've got Casper Van Dien in there, God's sake, Nicholas Brendan. In Redwood, and now we've got Chad Michael Collins, who, as a sniper fan, it's something I like to try and hide, but I am.
No, listen, do you know what? They're good movies. Like, this is the thing. Like, those movies, they know exactly what they are. They know who they're for. There's this feverish fan base around them. There's a reason that Sony are like, let's make another sniper film. Let's make another sniper film, because Chad holds that franchise together in a way. Hats off to him. I mean, he's this charismatic, bizarrely, inhumanly good-looking person. And the thing is, like sometimes in a movie you see someone and you're like, oh, that guy obviously worked out. Chad looks like that 24/7. It's impossible to stand next to him and not feel like I'm the ugliest human. So
says the guy who shed all his weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, my modelling career starts next year. But no, Chad's great. And then I just finished the movie. I literally just came back from Caribbean again. And I got to work with Marlon Ackerman on that. So that was kind of cool. The geek in me is like, Silk Spectre too. And we had Jack Donnelly, who's her husband, but he was in Atlanta. So he played Jason for BBC for years. And a guy called Wayne Gordon. And I got to work with a very close friend of mine who wrote that script with me, Nicole Bartlett. Just a great cast, actually. I mean, that one's, again, it was just like a bit of a geek dream come true.
So tell me a little bit more of this, because you were messaging me earlier when we were talking about it. How does Tom Paton make a movie that he didn't write?
Yeah, it's the first time that happened. I don't know. I kind of got to this point in my career where like the volume of projects that I'm on, it's a bit overwhelming, and it's a good thing. And I think one of those things I learned in the pandemic was, I suppose, like as the budgets increase, it's about being more and more collaborative. Finding somebody who can work with me in that regard, and and like I write really fast, and it is like I tried my hand with a couple of other writers before, and it just didn't really pan out. I'd be like what's taking so long? Like, I'd have done the 5th draft by now. Why is this still messing around? And Nicole writes super quick, and she gets the kind of projects that I do. So in that regard, it was like I pitched to Russell M. I was like, hey, look, I'm here's the story, here's the beats, this happens, and she came back like 2 weeks later. Here's the script, and the thing that she did that I realised is good for me in the career sense is that she added like a sense of like emotional empathy that's maybe missing from my previous movies. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm very good, I guess, at what I do, but it was nice to try a project that kind of had an extra opinion in it as well. I enjoyed it. So yeah, more of those to come for sure.
And does she write dialogue like Tom Paton writes dialogue?
Well, I mean, it depends what critic you're talking to. Something like that, eh? You know who you are, The Guardian. No, listen, honestly, I had a great experience working on that film, and it was, the whole project was very collaborative, and the actors had a lot of say, and Marlene did a lot with her role. I mean, it's a crazy film, you know, in a weird way. It's like one of my bigger budget movies, but it should have been made for nothing because it's about two guys sitting at a table. And they, you know, weirdly, the whole concept for it came out long before Squid Games dropped, but it's sort of Squid Games adjacent in the sense that if that show is about like what would you do for money, Us or Them is about why are you watching people get fucked up for money? What's wrong with you? So you know, it's kind of like this weird. It sits nicely with it. So yeah, we're working on that now. Just finished the first cut. Super pleased with that. And should be seeing that later this year.
When am I getting my dodgy link that I always get?
Yeah. Okay, so this is, you know, just so everybody knows, my podcast is super nice to me and keep asking me on. I send you screener links like, is this shit? Should I change this? So Kevin's one of those guys.
No. And the beauty of it is, I'll always tell you that it's awesome, and I'll tell you to change nothing.
No. To be fair, this is it. I think the process of when you're making a movie, like you need there's like two sets of people, right? Yeah. Like I've got those people that are like, okay, I know these people like my movies, so like, does this resonate with you? Do you still like the film? Does it fit with my catalogue of projects? And then there's a group of people. One of them is my own mother, who is so brutally honest with me that she will look me in the face and be like, I hate everything about this. You know, and I'm like, and you need those people too, right? Because like I've always operated on this like rule of three. You know, if I get one comment from someone and it's, you know, I don't like this, then I think, well, you know, it's an opinion. It only came up once. Maybe I don't agree with that. So, you know, maybe we can move past it. If I get two comments from two different people saying something negative and it's the same thing, then I think, well, maybe I should look at this. I don't necessarily have to agree, but I'll look at it. You get 3 comments from 3 different sources that are negative about the same thing. I go, well, that's a consensus. And I try and pack my ego into a box and go, well, I'm just changing it. You know, like maybe that's not the right way to do things, but, you know, at the end of the day, I do feel that it's a commercial product that I'm making, and it has to be, you know, it's a collaboration between me and the audience. Like, I've got to like it, but you've got to like it. Because if you don't like it, I have to go and work at Burger King, and I'm just not cut out for a fish in that hat, you know. So
I don't know. I think you'd look a fish in that hat.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I mean, I've got one ear that sticks out more than the other, so it'd be awkward.
So you've got like 8-9 movies deep.
Yeah.
This is probably a question you'll not want to answer. What has been your proudest moment with these movies have been coming out? Because I've been following you and watching these movies, and every time you grow. But what's the one thing that truly stands out in your career so far regards your movies?
Like a moment that I think, yeah, that was really special to me.
Yeah. Apart from coming on,
obviously, the day I met Kevin Halden. No, I honestly, I think it was, you know, we made Redwood was a bit of a weird one for me because that movie, you know, I met these guys in Cannes. Yeah. We just released Pandora. So it was my first movie, right? And I was like, no one's going to see this. And then somehow, loads of people saw it. It did really well. I mean, you know, I was like, I still can't really believe how well Pandora can do, to be honest.
We're still talking about it.
Yeah, and you know, and you know, there was 2 moments really. So one would be Pandorica related. I was at, I got asked to do MCM Comic-Con, and somebody showed up wearing the Erin makeup from Pandorica and wanted me to sorry the video. I was like, that's the coolest shit that you could ever ask for. But then the other moment was, so we made Redwood, and how that came about was, I was in Cannes, these guys come up to me, they're like, look, we've told this investor we're making a vampire film in August, we've lost the director, he took the script with him, can you make a vampire film in August in Poland? And I was like, well, maybe? You know, and it was like, we're talking like now, it's like right about now, it's like, there's not very long to mount, and we write a script from scratch and mount it. And so we gave it a go and we did it. You know, me, George, was like the only English crew there. Most people didn't speak English. So it was this hilariously fun project where I'm kind of like having to show people Pictionary style, you know, like charade style, what I'm after. But I made so many great friends and stuff on that film. But we made it for very little resources, like more than we got on Pandorica, to be fair, but still tiny. And And I remember when we found out it got into Fright Fest, and I was like, wow, that's cool, Fright Fest, that's great. You know, and we were all like, well, it's going to be Monday morning, 10 a.m., but shit, who cares, man? We got into Fright Fest, this is awesome. And then the lineup dropped, and it was the opening night movie, along with these 3 big Hollywood films and Redwood. And you know, it just blew my mind. And to this day, I still think, I am very, very grateful to the Fright Fest guys, to Paul McAvoy and Rattray, Alan, you know, Greg, these guys, you know, the championing that they did for that film. I have a career now because of them. And actually going to that sold out screening on that opening night, and, you know, sitting with Mike Beckingham, who was the lead in it, and he brought his brother Simon Pegg. And, you know, just that experience of like, I feel like we've kind of pulled this off, lads, was probably never, it's going to be very hard to knock that off, because I still kind of now, I still think, what am I doing here? How did I get here, you know?
Tom?
Well, you know, I'm very good at talking to people.
You are very good. I don't think we've ever done a podcast that was under 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I often get off of that, like, Jesus Christ, I need to learn to edit.
Well, yeah, I'm not an editor, I don't do that.
But no, man, I think that was just one of these, it's just a great moment. And then every film since, you know, every movie's got its bit that you're like, wow, that's cool. You know, and, you know, and me, I'm a genre fan at heart. You know, like one of the things me and you get on so well with is that we're both a pair of nerds that just love, you know, you talk about the casting in my films, and it's like, I've got this weird nerd wish list, right? And the fact that I now get to call most of these people friends, you know, like I remember watching season 1 of True Blood,
Yeah.
you know, and I was in this kind of weird place in life where I was I'd just come back from Cyprus, and I was trying to pimp myself out as a director, but it just wasn't working. So I'm kind of staying on this futon at my mum and dad's house briefly, and I binge watched True Blood, you know, and felt very inspired by it, and, you know, and that now, you know, Stephen Moyer's my friend. Like, we were texting yesterday. I'm constantly pitching shit. I'm like, yo, let's make this now, you know. So that's kind of like weird for me. Casper, I love. You know, the first R-rated movie I ever saw was Starship Troopers. I think I paid for Tommy Lee's Volcano, and then me and my mate just backdoor boogied into Starship Troopers, and yeah, it was the goriest thing I'd ever seen at the time. And yeah, and I just love Casper. I just think he's. If you ever wanted to see Casper Van Dien really push himself acting wise, it's in Assailant, you know. Yeah, and I pushed him completely against, you know, he's normally the all-American hero, and I made him the most evil psychopath, like irredeemable psychopath. And I had the most fun doing that with him, you know, and I think I got this kick out of seeing how much fun he was having, and this geek in me is like, that's fucking Casper Van Dien. Yes, I still love it.
You gave me one of my biggest moments. Like, I've been doing this podcast and doing the nerdy thing for about 5 or 6 years now, but coming to G-Lock and meeting Casper Van Dien and calling him Sir, which
I'm sure he loved it.
Which, like, honestly, he was going, "Are we just going to sit here?" And I'm like, "I'll sit wherever you want, sir." And instantly, I was like, "Like, who talks like that?" But I mean, that for me was just a huge moment. He signed my football shirt, and I wear it every time I play football. Like, it just. But yeah, that's what you mean. Like, you ticked off the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
You showed your movie at Comic-Con, and there's somebody dressed up like Pandora and all that, and then you're now casting people you loved.
Yeah, I mean, Marlon, for me, you know, I'm a huge Watchmen the comic fan. Like, it's
from the movie.
Yeah, listen, I love the movie. I think it's beautifully directed. It's almost too slavish to the comic book, right?
Yeah.
But I still love that film, and you know, I was there midnight opening screening because I'm such a Watchmen fan. You know, and then getting to, you know, kick back on set with Marlon, talk about that process of how that film was made and stuff, and then be like, right, should we go and shoot some shit then? It's just cool, you know. It's kind of one of these things, and like even now, like I'm working on something. Can't really talk about a lot of NDAs and stuff, but
there, are
yeah, I'm there. We've made it there. But I'm like working on something at the moment, and it's like it's an entirely science fiction movie. You know, we're shooting it all inside a game engine, but it's huge in scale. You know, and every time I get sent little bits and pieces of the film's development and the character designs and stuff, my brain melts a little bit, and I'm like, I just wish I could go back and sit next to like 13-year-old Tom while he's watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on BBC Two and be like, dude, you have got no fucking clue how cool this shit gets. Like, I wish I could do that, because maybe yeah, I don't know. It just, yeah, it blows my mind. It really does.
So is this part of the animation kind of avenue you're going down?
Yeah, like I've always been a big anime fan, and I've always loved the possibility of what you can do in animation. Like, it's, you know, and I think that animation has been kind of very difficult to do for most of its history. You know, it's a slow process, and you know, somebody like me, I work very, very quick. But you know, Unreal Engine 5 has changed everything. You know, and really, as soon as that happened, I was all over that. And yeah, I can see there being like two paths to my career now. One will be very focused in this area because it's a genuine love of mine, and then the other will be, let's go make a cool movie because we can.
Casper, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, me and Casper have got so many projects that we talk about all the time, and you know, a cool moment. You talk about cool geek moment. It was like pitching to Casper Van Dien what I would do with Starship Troopers, and then him being like, fuck it, let's email Sony. Like, we didn't get anywhere, but like, that's cool as shit to do that. I mean, we got back, that's a really cool idea, but these rights are a mess. That'll never happen, you know, but pitching it, well, that's great.
Well, Tom, it's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Anytime seeing you, and especially getting to see you face to face after the last couple of years and everything. But I did absolutely hate seeing all those Instagram photos of you in the Caribbean.
Yeah, look, if you like sunsets, follow me on Instagram at Tom Paton.
Yeah.
I don't post about work, I just post sunsets.
You have become that guy.
I'm the sunset guy. I'm like, oh, sunset. That's me. So if you love a sunset, at Tom Paton Film, see you there.
So obviously we've got Assailant coming later in the year. What's next to drop in terms of when we can expect the next project?
So Assailant will definitely be the next release. I think we're delivering it later this year. Like I say, the cut's done now and stuff. We've got a few pickup days to do beginning of June, but I suspect that's going to be this side of Christmas or just afterwards. But it's a very cool little movie. I've got some other stuff cooking at the moment. I've got this sci-fi project that we're talking about. I have some things that I've been sharing with you that I can't talk about.
You have. My interest has peaked.
Yeah, so look, there's a lot going on right now. In a weird way, that like 1 year shutdown over, for me it was only 1 year, but you know, for everybody else it was 2. I'm so sorry. But you know, like, it just really energized me, and I'm suddenly like, okay, fuck it, let's just do everything I can possibly get out of the system, because you know, I can already feel old, you know, as I'm approaching 40, my bones are starting to hurt, and I'm like, okay, let's just get all of this out the door before I'm too tired to do it.
There was me, all I did was build a bar.
Building a bar is great. I haven't even had an invite to this thing once. When's the bar invite?
Well, now you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Whenever.
Party at Kevin's.
You can come see the new pod cave. I built a new pod cave, new studio, everything. You can come and see that. So
okay, sold. As long as you give me one of them snazzy t-shirts, I'm in.
No, these are mine. But yeah, honestly,
yeah.
it's just amazing seeing you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for making the trip out. Yeah, I mean, you've not got anything showing here this year, but still came out to see us.
No, massive shout out to ROMFORD Film Festival. Again, these guys, especially Spencer that runs this event. I mean, what a legend that guy is. So how I know them, just real quick before we cut off, is we actually shot Stairs, which is now the Ascent, but we shot that here. Above this cinema, there's an old abandoned nightclub with the 2 stairwells off it. So he gave us that location for free, yeah, which is just incredible. I mean, there should be more people like that helping indie filmmakers out. And you know, we shot in the 2 stairwell here. I think people in Romford were weirded out. They're like, "Why is Shane Ward from Coronation Street wandering around the Mercury Shopping Centre?" But you know, it was great. And then you know, they screened Black Site here. They screened The Ascent, and yeah, again, Romford Film Festival is one of those like very, very special to me, very supportive, you know, and I think that they've given a lot of platform to filmmakers, and you know, and then hopefully those people will go on to have similar career trajectories, and yeah, and you need things like this.
And it's your fault that I'm involved with.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
But this is me I've been kicking about with them for 3-4 years now, and this is the first time I've got down here, and they've got us doing all this. And
Yeah. No, listen, honestly, if you've got a movie, short or whatever, submit it to these guys. They'll look after you and they'll champion you in a way that not a lot of festivals do. So that's kind of rare and special. And yeah, I'm a big supporter of these guys for sure.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thank you very
Especially
much. So this is the awkward bit now where we just walk off, right?
Yeah, this is when I
All
try and make
Thanks,
it look
everyone.
natural.